so my book is basically the intersection of all the different parts of who I am. And a lot of people who have read my book, who are doctors, who are female, or who are from a similar cultural background, have really found that they were able to connect with a lot of the stories that I spoke about within that book. You know, all the online stores, as well as in some of the major bookstores like Readings, for example, Amazon, they can purchase the book as well. When you are raising children, children are generally raised by a village.
Yeah.
Generally, there is a time frame between 4 and 6 months that we will introduce solid based on the child's age and how they are developing. So some children are more ready for solids than others. If a mum is feeling depressed, it's always a good idea to, that's again, having a good support network. So making sure that we support mums is really, really important. So if you're struggling with symptoms of postpartum depression, feeling sad, not being able to do as much as you normally love, it would be a good idea to chat to your doctor so that they can best support the mum having symptoms of postpartum depression, to have a chat with their doctor so that they can get support from the doctor, from the psychologist, from their family as well, which is really important. I think women need to be very well supported by all members of their family when raising children, because it's something that we should be doing together. When newborns need a lot more sleep, like close to 16 hours of sleep per day. And then when children get a bit older, they need a bit less sleep. It really does depend on the age. When children are getting closer to that 18-year-old age, that's when they can have that 8 to 10 hours sleep, depends on the person. Generally, kids who are under the age of 2, we recommend no screen time, except for things like video chatting with family, for example. And then children who are under the age of 5, 1 hour of recreational screen time per day is what's maximum recommended. And then children over the age of 5, and this includes adults as well, generally 2 hours of recreational screen time. So that does not include homework. So that's the typical recommendations per day.
Doctors don't get sick as often as other people. Eating flavored yogurt has the same benefit as plain yogurt.
Depends on the yogurt.
Okay. So how often a teenage or the kids should get a health checkup for all their developmental growth?
So we have generally health checkups, Sarah. We have checkups for babies, which is moderated by the maternal and child health nurse. And then as kids get older, we don't really have necessarily a checkup that happens that's planned.
Okay.
It is a good idea, I guess, if you, with your child, particularly once a year, to take them to their doctor to get them checked out. Most of the time people do that anyway because their child has had a virus or some kind of illness where they do need to go and visit the doctor. So it's a good idea to get their weight and their height measured to make sure that those things are tracking as well. So at least once a year, checking in with your GP would be a good idea to start off with your kid.
How often can a kid use Wi-Fi things like gaming or gadgets or whatever the TV programs? How often they can watch? How much time do you recommend in the age categories for the toddlers and the teenagers?
Yeah, so generally kids who are under the age of 2, we recommend no screen time except for things like video chatting with family, for example. And then children who are under the age of 5, 1 hour of recreational screen time per day is what's maximum recommended. And then children over the age of 5, and this includes adults as well, generally 2 hours of recreational screen time. So that does not include homework. So that's the typical recommendations per day.
As you said, the homework. So these days we can't separate them from the laptop and the things because they always need to put their works on the laptop and they need to upload the documents and whatever it is. So including the school time as well, they are using the laptops there. So how can we protect their eyes?
So having an eye check. So there are increased risks of myopia with needing glasses for children who spend too much on their screens. Yes. And so it is important, if you're noticing that your child is unable to see certain things close up or far away, that you do get their eyes checked by the local optometrist. So I think if your child is spending a lot of time on the screen, it can cause problems such as neck and back ache as well, headaches from the tension related to the screen, how close they are to the screen itself, and the chair that they're sitting in. It can all impact on how they're feeling at the end of the day.
Yeah, so when it comes to the video game and the indoor plays, Do you recommend kids that they can play, or that's complete no or yes for some time?
Look, I think it depends on what they're playing and who they're playing with. So if it's on the internet, it depends on their age. There are certain games that are not recommended for kids because of what content they may be exposed to, like on the internet through Wi-Fi. Some of these games have ads that pop up that are not for kids, and you have no control over what they're getting exposed to. So if they have a game, for example, that's off the screen, that's not related to Wi-Fi, that like a PlayStation game, for example, where they're playing a game and you've got controlled hours on that, then I guess that would be okay. But gaming can be quite addictive, so we have to be very careful with how much time a child is spending gaming.
Okay. So basically 1 hour is fine for the teenage kids, or like?
So 2 hours of recreational screen time per day for children over the age of 5. So it depends on that recreational screen time. Look, I think it's always a good idea to know what your child is doing, depending, it doesn't matter what age they are. So you should know what they're doing, what they're playing, who they're playing with. You wouldn't send your child to the shopping centre and say, bye-bye, see you later, would you? You wouldn't.
No.
You want to know who they're going with, where they're going, and have some way of contacting them. So the problem with online games is there are other people that may enter these games as well, so you don't know who they're speaking to, so that can be dangerous. So that sense of safety is important. So we always worry about child safety. Even in your own home, they could be chatting with some stranger. So that's the part that I worry about. An online friend can be a real danger to your child. So that's where things can get harmful. The other thing is, a lot of the time with certain games, there's a risk of they're just seeking that dopamine hit. So they just want to keep playing, keep playing, keep playing. There are some really great places that can help if your child's struggling with gaming. So there's a website called Game Aware.
Okay.
It's designed by Australians. That can be really helpful for children or parents that are struggling with their kids gaming too much. So Game Aware, I often send my own patients to that particular website to have a look if they're struggling with gaming. And the other thing is, if you are there with your child and play with your child, then that can be a form of bonding, for example, and then turning the game off with strict limits is a good idea as well, so that it doesn't become the only thing that they do. It's not eating into other parts of their life, like sleep and food and family time and homework time.
Yeah. So when a kid is already into that and the parents couldn't take him back, so this is the place where you recommend. So how do we get into that?
So I think
going to a GP?
Yeah, I think, look, Game Aware is something that you can go online and find it, but going to your GP to have a chat first would be a good idea, so that if they are struggling with other issues and this is their form of escape, for example, if their mental health is suffering, then, having a chat to your GP would be a good idea, so that they can get in touch with a psychologist to help with any issues that their children may be facing.
Okay, so usually, as you said, when the child isn't having any mental health issues going on, so how does the parents find out that he's in some mental issues, he's having some help, he needs some help? Where do I find it? So how does parents approach the kids, especially in teenage period of time? They don't have that big conversation with parents. They always want some me time, some time alone times in their room. So how we can cope up with that and get to know about, like, do they definitely need any help?
I think that having regular scheduled family time is important for your children, so that they can have that one-on-one time, so that you have that relationship where your child will come to you for help if they are not feeling good, or that you've seen the signs, if they're spending all the time in their room, if they're dropped off on their eating, if they're not sleeping properly, if their grades are slipping, if they're not going out with their friends. These are all signs that something else might be going on. And it's a good idea to always chat to your child and see how they're going every day. Having that time outside the room, family time, eating time, meal time, is a good time to have those conversations, and just being there, spending time with your kid, taking them to a movie, or going for a walk, or just playing a board game with them, for example. It's a good way of bonding with your child. And so this needs to be an ongoing process. Even if they're teenagers, teenagers still want you, even though they need their own time. They still want their parents. They still need their parents. They're still under 18, and even over 18. I think when you become a parent, you become a parent for life.
Yeah.
Look, the frontal lobe typically develops around the age of 25. So those executive functions where a child needs, to develop skills for independence takes time, to develop those skills. And so I think it's something that we have to continue to encourage our children. So teaching them early independence from a young age so that they can be self-sufficient when they're older. So, for example, if you are at a cafe and with your kid, you can ask them to go and order. So you're giving them those skills of not being afraid to get up there and order the food. So they start getting used to that. Giving them some responsibility around the house is a good idea as well. So if you have a pet, getting your child involved in chores, helping out with the pet, helping out in the family, these will all help when they're older. And they have to do their own laundry or they have to service their car when they're older, so learning these life skills, even as a child, will help build better adults when they're older. So don't do everything for them. You need to give them time to develop their skills, because otherwise they're going to struggle a lot more when they become an adult.
Like giving a bonus for household chores, like giving a small bonus for the kids when they do some household chores, like cleaning cars or doing vacuuming the home.
Yeah,
We can give them.
absolutely. I mean, it depends on different families what's paid work. I think if you get them to wash your car, maybe you could pay them a small amount of money. But if it's something like putting the dishes away, like that should be something that perhaps is not paid and something that they do because they're part of the family and we're all working together in the family, and that will help them become better adults. And then one day when they have their own families, it'll be easier for them to do these tasks.
Yeah, definitely. So coming up on the gadget usage and things. So is this right? Or I know it's not right, but you can help us as a parents. So how we can manage with using gadgets when we say no to our kids for the whole day, no using gadgets or TV, but we have to use the gadgets in front of them, like phones, answering the calls and texting the partner, whatever it is. So how can we do this and how can we balance this?
Yeah, so you do have to model what you're saying to your child. So keeping them out of bedrooms is a good idea. So that will help. That'll help your child with their sleep as well. So I always say don't have any kind of screens inside the bedrooms, and that should, for the parents as well, try and charge your devices outside the bedrooms. Keep them away from meal times as well. So that helps to create conversation rather than people looking at their phone, for example. And then I think the third thing is you have to model the behavior yourself. So when you're with your child, try not to use the phone. If you need to, you say, look, I have a work call or I have something to do for work. I need to use the phone for that. And then you put it away so that you're not scrolling on the internet or like looking up TikTok videos while you're with your child. So I think whatever goes for the child should go for the parent as well.
Oh, okay. So this also comes under like scrolling for hours and hours, and people doesn't know how long they have spent in the whole day, avoiding the children, avoiding everything, all the things around the house, and they keep scrolling down, and the children was staring at mom, why she's not looking at me, when the small kids are on the floor. So this will be for the main advice is for them, yeah. So these days after COVID, I can say it's after COVID, the socializing is very, very less when compared to the before COVID and after COVID. So how can we cope up and match up with on the kids and socializing stuffs? Even the parents sometimes, like me, I want to socialize with people, but sometimes I don't want to go out. I don't know where this feeling get from. So something like gut feeling or what it is, like I don't know. I'm a little bit scared of not going outside sometimes, but I want people always. So how do I go?
Yeah, look, I think to some degree, like during COVID, what happened was that people had to connect with other people, right? And so one of the ways that people would connect is through their phones. And they'd have Zoom meetings or like find ways to find friends online, etc. But what's happened after COVID is that we do need to socialize in person as well, because one of the things that you get from meeting people face to face is it does release those happy hormones, those endorphins that make us feel good, right? So you can't touch someone, you can't, hug someone, you can't see their true facial expressions unless you're, like as you and I are right now, sitting next to each other. Like if we did this interview on Zoom, for example, it would probably be very different because there's a whole personal, vibes coming from being next to each other, that energy that people have. And that feeling of not feeling alone as well when you're around people face to face is something really important. So I think gradually certainly what I noticed was that a lot of the kids were, even though they were socializing online, they're generally happier now when they are able to meet people face to face. And I think for those reasons that you get a lot more happiness doing sports and being outdoors and like being able to hang out with your friends in person. So even with the parents as well, agree, a lot of these online meetings are still happening and they are good for various reasons. People have kids, they've got lots of things they get to do and then they can still work from home. So in some way it is helpful, but I think that we do need to put in that time to go and meet people face to face because it does make us feel good. I mean, humans are social beings, right? Like we need connection with community and we need that face-to-face contact.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Yeah.
So even though it requires a little more effort, the benefit coming from that is far greater than if you were to call someone on the phone or see someone face-to-face or online rather than face-to-face. There's a massive benefit from meeting people in person.
Yeah. The only one step is we have to step out from the house. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that everything takes a bit of effort, doesn't it?
Instead of imagining so many things behind the doors, let's open the door and come out and just go in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. So here I have so many options in one plate.
Yeah.
Which
It looks
are
like a party
kids.
platter. So.
Yeah, of course, it's a party platter. We have vegetables and cauliflower. That's what they say is in the label. So can we replace vegetables or non-eating kids? Can we replace with these type of things? Or is this advisable to give all these things? Because in daily routine, all these things are into their any form of like snack or lunch. Our kids are carrying this. So would you recommend this? Or if you are recommending, which one goes first?
So I think like generally this looks like a party platter to me.
Oh.
So, parties happen from time to time. And so there's foods, there's no bad food essentially, but there's foods that can be a sometimes food or food that you have every now and then. So when we look at children's food, I always like to look at the Australian Nutrition Guidelines, which recommends having fruit and vegetables in your diet, having carbohydrates and breads, breads and cereals or rice in our diet, pastas, those kinds of things. And then earlier I talked about iron-rich foods, but having iron-rich food in your diet, having dairy in your diet. So these are all important to have every single day in your diet.
Okay.
So provided that children are having, foods from what we call the rainbow, the fruits and the vegetables and things that will help them to grow, then it's okay for them to have some of these foods sometimes.
Okay.
So sometimes food. You've got Weet-Bix on there, which is great, breakfast. It's got a lot of Weet-Bix has got added iron in there. So I like the labels that are on food. So you can always check the packaging of what's inside a food. So looking on the back of a food, what's the ingredients that make that particular food and what's the health star rating, which have got 5-star ratings. So this one's got a 5-star health rating. So this is absolutely fine. And then if you have a look at the ingredients, in here, it talks about the different ingredients. You always want to check the sodium content. You don't want too much sodium for the kid. And then the other one here, the Weet-Bix. So if you look at the Weet-Bix on the back of the label, which a lot of foods will have, it's got 10% of the recommended daily intake of iron. So that's a big tick. And then it's got some vitamins in there as well and some fiber, which is also important for our diet. So we get fiber from fruits and vegetables that we need every day. So low in sugar, high in fiber, high in vitamins, high in iron. So these probably out of this whole thing. I think you can't really take Weet-Bix to school for a snack, but this particular protein nut bar has got 5-star health rating. So that's what I'd be looking at, this rating. When you're buying food, if you're not sure, have a look at the health rating. So these are developed to help people pick foods and what might be healthier for them to eat. And again, I always say there's no such thing as a bad food. It's always a sometimes food, something that you can eat. And it might just be a sometimes food.
Here is another point. So can you recommend the chips on a snack in regular basis if it is baked?
So Sarah, with the chips, look, I think again it's a very regular party food. It's absolutely fine for kids to have chips in their, as part of their sometimes food that they eat. But I would look at the health rating if you're worried. But things like fruits and vegetables have got a, great source of nutrition for our kids. So when you eat certain foods, like, for example, a banana, or a carrot, or a carrot cake, or a banana, 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 you always have to think about how do you feel after. So typically when people have fresh produce, they usually feel pretty good after. So it's about eating the rainbows and making sure that we're having enough of them. And particularly for kids, it's about making healthy life choices so that they learn when they get older, what kind of food do I think. So I always look at the food pyramid, and that helps me to remember what to give my kids in their day-to-day diet. So when I'm packing their lunch boxes, I think, do I have dairy? Do I have fruit? Do I have, vegetables? Do I have things like that when I'm packing their lunch?
So when you say the pyramid, so do you recommend all the parents should they have the pyramid chart in
They
their
should
kitchen?
have a look at they should have a look at the food pyramid and make sure that they are following that Australian nutrition guideline, which is based on that food pyramid. There's many different forms of the food pyramid, I guess, different cultures, but that's a recommended guideline, and we have to modify the guideline based on individual circumstances and individual choices. Some kids are really fussy and it can be really hard to get certain kinds of food into them. If you're not sure, then getting involved, getting a dietitian involved would be helpful. So there's lots of dietitians that can give that nutrition advice that can help with providing those food choices and coming up with certain kinds of meal plans if you're not sure.
Okay. So when coming up to this type of colored foods, would you recommend the color-based foods or neutral colors like natural colors?
Well, again, it depends on what's in the food. So, is there a lot of artificial things in the food? There are certain foods that might trigger migraines, for example, and certain children might get migraines because they're eating particular type of substances contained in the food. For example, MSG, often added to particular foods. Some people get migraines from that. So then I wouldn't avoid a food based on the color of the food.
Okay, that's right. So hopefully the parents will get a lot of information by reading the labels, as you said,
Correct.
behind
Read the
boxes.
labels.
And do you have any specific numbers or colors that we have to avoid completely? Like we keep hearing the things of like we should avoid the color red in foods. So it's too much concentration of color.
Like if you speak to the dentist will say that limiting sugar in the child's diet will help with their teeth. So what we don't want to have kids to have too much sugar because it can affect their teeth. They can develop cavities. So that's one of the problems of having too much sugar in the diet. And then not having other things that are important for growth. As I mentioned earlier, the fruits and the vegetables, the protein that they need, the iron in their diet that children need to grow and become healthy. So as long as they're not missing out on important food in their diet and not having too much sugar, check your kids' teeth, get them to see a dentist every year so they can have their teeth checked and cleaned. That's helpful to see what the quality of the teeth is like. And the other thing is it's not just food, it's also drinks. So we're talking about foods here, but we've got drinks. So the main drink that a child should have is water, not fizzy drinks or soft drinks, things like that, because they have added sugar in them, and again that can damage the teeth. Even like having too much juice can be harmful for the teeth. So it's better to eat an apple than have apple juice.
Right. So eating more Western influenced food instead of attaching to the roots and their whatever it is, like the things we made at home, does that affects our future generation by sticking to this Western modernized foods?
So I think look, Western food has got so many different parts to it, right? So I think what you're asking maybe is, are they missing out on their culture if
They're
they're
missing
not
on the
eating?
culture. We are all from the South, like South Asian people. We have different types of food routines and food habits. So when we are shifting this to the another next generation, are they missing any very important thing that keeps us surviving all these things? Can they able to tolerate all these?
But Sarah, like if you go to India, or if you go to Sri Lanka, or if you go to any other country, they also have food that comes in packages, right? It's everywhere. It's global. It's a thing. So any food that you make in your home is always going to be better for your child if you can do that. So fresh food and produce is always going to be great. And I guess for that cultural connection, my favorite food is I love Sri Lankan food because
What is your
or
favorite
Indian
one?
food. I love both of them because it comes from, it just reminds me of being like the authenticity of that and that culture that it brings. And I think that is something that we shouldn't miss out on. Like for our kids, it's good to have that connection to their home or their roots, and those flavors of things that you can't buy from the shops.
Right.
You can't buy it in a package when your mum or your dad cooks it for you. You can't buy that in a package. It doesn't come in a package.
Tempting once when we reach the doorway, the smells like, we have to eat it straight away from the bowl,
I mean, if you look at it, why are so many people watching MasterChef or MK? Like, because they're creating it from scratch.
So what's your favorite food?
So I love, rice and curry, right? Obviously.
Rice and curry. There's no different option from there, yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah, rice and curry. Absolutely.
That's good. There's a quick rapid fire round. Can we? So one food every child should eat daily.
One food every child should eat daily.
Yeah.
A fruit or a vegetable, a specific fruit. I'm not sure if there's a specific fruit that I would say, Sarah.
Okay. One symptoms parents should never ignore.
So I think if your child is regressing in their behavior or their behavior has changed, then I think don't ignore that, because you know your child best. So don't ignore those symptoms or signs in your child.
Okay, so next one is one healthy habit that makes kids healthier.
Sleep. Getting enough sleep will make them feel a lot better the next day.
Can you recommend us one good bed routine?
So trying to go to bed at the same time every day and waking up at the same time every day will help to establish that circadian rhythm that children need to regulate their sleep.
One gadget rule every home should follow for kids.
Yeah, keep the screens out of the bedrooms.
That's good. That's really hard for parents. One challenge new parents make most of for him.
I think not having enough support or not asking for help.
Yeah, this might be highlighted one. One thing every child needs more than the screen time.
Their parents and their family.
Yeah, it's us. Okay, we are moving to the next one. More funnier part. So you can use this. You can choose yes or no. Doctors don't get sick as often as other people. Shaving a child's hair will make it grow back thicker. No. That's a big disappointment for all of us. Drinking warm water after eating ice cream will stop you from getting sick. No. That's not so no. Swallowed chewing gum stays in your stomach for 7 years. No. That's a big no. So these are all random questions. They keep Googling on the internet.
Okay.
So eating flavored yogurt has the same benefit as plain yogurt.
Depends on the yogurt.
Okay. Okay, popping your knuckles will cause arthritis. No. So we are all got cheated by elders. Eating sugar makes kids instantly hyperactive. That's a big no. Okay. You should not swim or take a bath for at least 1 hour after eating.
What? I've never heard of these people.
we follow this all our childhood. But our parents never allowed to take a bath. Oh, don't take bath. Wait for another couple of hours. You can't afford it. Eating carrots will improve your eyesight and make your vision perfect.
It will help your eyesight. It's not going to make it perfect.
I'm telling this to my son to eat your carrots, you get your eyes brighter. Then he keeps eating.
It will help. The carotene helps, but it doesn't. It depends on genetics as well, how your eyesight forms. Yeah.
Okay. So do white spots on the face indicate worms in the stomach with kids?
White
spots?
Worms?
Yeah.
In the stomach?
Yeah.
No.
We do have that, we do have that, baby people, when we go to schools, they say, oh, do you have stomach worms? So you have to clean up stomach. No, they don't eat. So doctors never eat sugary treats and junk foods.
Yeah, yes, they do.
Oh, yeah. We are in a team. Okay, I hope we covered a lot today, and it was so fantastic having you here. And we had a lot of information and insights. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Giving us a lot of information.
Thank you. It was great to be here today. And look, I would just say that if you have specific medical questions, always chat to your doctor and they can give you some further information.
Okay. Thank you so much for having you today and coming here and making this possible on the very first episode. And thank you so much for watching this show. I'll catch you on next episode. Thank you. Saranya signing off.